Ichigo awakens by Talachi in chapter 63. Chipped edges, Zangetsu Cave. Now, let's see. In Zangetsu's side, reviewing the report his spies gave him, you can't find any opportunity to find and neutralize Ichigo. We've lost all contact with Nosarashi, and Muramasa keeps disappearing at random times. He growled in annoyance to Sakate and a thin figure that seemed to be wrapped in brass cloth with a plague mask beak. Are you illustrating? Are your illusionary skills failing you? Tino Ngriokri era Ari sneak, Sakanda said, sounding just as annoyed as Shinji would. Sichte hitte pleger åtte ingenieke tongne stier også sesnese trevnia sreopa im. And my Bankai ability is sound-based illusions. The now named Kinshira spoke up. We've seen him passing through Kaganta, but we don't want to risk him catching on to us. Zangetsu released another sigh of irritation as he leaned into his throne. His eyes met another of his allies, a large red Caledonian drinking from a jug, and sent a non-verbal message to the ogre. The brood rose to his feet and made his way out of the cave. Hey, where is Tenkumar going? Tsushibaki asked, flying over next to Zangetsu's head. Knowing him, he's going out to get more booze, said someone with multiple cylinders poking out of his back and arms with a mask that had several slits in the face. I should probably go with him. Make sure he stays sober till he gets there. Take care. Tachizaki, Tachikaze, and Zangetsu said as the other visor blade joined his companion. He made note of the ice dragon, who seemed to have forgotten everything. As said, Zanpakuto was also moving to leave the cave. Susumebachi, I think you can accompany Sakante and Kinshiri in spying on Muramasa. I could, but why? Asked the Golden Wasp. He's hiding things from us, the hybrid growled as the so-called liberator of the Zanpakuto returned to the cave. Consider it done, the Wasp replied, glaring at the white sword. Captain's meeting. Byakuya is trying to find and kill Muramasa's master, Kokakuchiki. Ichigo reported when he finally came back from the Kuchiki manor. It's likely he considers this more of a black stain on the Kuchiki family rather than a threat to the Soul Society, but it's both. The assembled captain, minus Saraki and Byakuya, looked over the copies of the information Ichigo brought. So, it seems like he's severing the connection when his power is really turning one against themselves after disrupting the energy flow. Urahara said, scanning through the contents and already figuring out a way to use it to their advantage. And since they're still connected to us, we don't need to worry about losing them, only that they have the full power of their abilities, and we can barely attain Shikai until we remind them of our strength. Meanwhile, we have yet to find out where that bastard hid Yamamoto, Tengomaru said, manifesting behind love with Tachikaze, while Tachikaze did the same with Kenzai. And some of the other Zanpakuto haven't been seen since the initial attack. Well, looks like this makes it definitive. Urahara said, bringing out his fan. Those with a hollow ratio are naturally immune to Muramasa, since they already follow their instincts, making the Visor's captain breathe a sigh of relief. So now we test those hollow pills you and Kurosachi made Soifon suggested, eager to get Tsusubachi back. No, the scientists immediately denied. We still have no idea if they'd actually work in this case. We need a guinea pig to test it out. On. I offer my lieutenant, the stealth captain immediately offered, prompting everyone to look at her oddly. Right, ignoring that, Kyoraku said while getting everyone to refocus on the map. We'll need the locations of their base so that we can launch our attack. Tenkumaru immediately pointed to a specific spot on the map of the area Urahara was indicating. They've hidden themselves away in a cave full of Sekiseki stone to mask their presence. Tachikaze answered him. Zangetsu can't have us search there until he gets proof that Muramasa is lying to the Zanpakuto. Tsusubachi's been given that task of recovering the evidence. Then it's only a matter of time. And Soifun continued, having complete faith in her Zanpakuto. When she gets that, we'll end this farce. Yes, but one thing, Ichigo said, getting everyone to look at him. I stand by what I said about this earlier. Fight your Sanpakuto, learn about yourselves before taking them back. He turned his focus to Hitsugaya. You'll find Hiromaru at the quarry in South to Rukan. Zangetsu will allow an attack by most of the Sanpakuto, if only to keep up appearances. How many? Kyoraku asked, already planning a counter for most of the Sanpakuto. Zangetsu will lead the attack, leaving Rukia's Homaru's and Shizuku's Sanpakutos behind. Ichigo answered, relaying the information Zangetsu was giving him through the connection, which was strained at the moment. And Suzubachi is watching Muramasa and Ganju's, Urahara's, Ukitaki's, Unahana's, and your own Sanpakuto haven't been seen since the attack. So fun. Take Lieutenant Kuchiki, 3rd Seed Shiba, and the siblings with you when you investigate the cave. Kyoraku ordered. I have a feeling old man Yama somewhere in that cave, and you can use people that can teleport him. Roger. And Sorofon nodded, leaving together a small unit. The remaining Shinigami went about preparing for the next attack. The area seemed calm and peaceful, with the thick tension in the air to dissuade such notions. The Shinigami were tense, burning their anticipation of the calm before the battle, waiting for the attack. Would it be from Captain Kuchiki and his Sanpakuto? Would fire rain down or poison his cloud? So many different options that they distracted themselves from the thoughts as the Sanpakuto took them by surprise. A loud crack signaling a massive fireball coming down on the unsuspecting Soul Reapers. Burn! Reika yelled out as he and Tobian brought down fire on the remains of the Serite. The flame exploded, consuming a wide area in fire. As purple lightning joined the burning mix, the chaos enveloped everyone as the Sanpakuto descended into the masses. Kaseshini laughed hysterically as he spun his scythe and cut down multiple Soul Reapers. As they came closer and closer, many were tackled in mid-air. Zangetsu stood in the air, watching each Sanpakuto get knocked away from the others by their respective wielders. Byakuya himself sent the flare to Zangetsu seconds before Ichigo revealed himself and slammed his foot into the noble's face, along with Senbun Sakura. Well, this is getting messy, Ichigo commented, looking at the destruction. The old man's going to be beyond pissed. Indeed, the hybrid blade agreed as he scanned the battlefield, searching for a worthy opponent. When did Sasakibe wake up? Who? Ichigo asked the annoying Zangetsu. Squad 1 Lieutenant. Oh yeah, Ichigo nodded. I don't know. Let's try to limit the casualty count. The hybrid said as he shot himself towards where he sent Byakuya. Indeed, Zangetsu agreed, sensing a particularly worthy foe arriving, and this will definitely affect morale. Magai versus Rakai. Reika! The Magai yelled as he and his Sanpakuto spirit clashed, him being on the offensive to limit his blade's fire abilities. I'm taking you back before you cause any more damage. The burning blade roared out and managed to force Magai back. I've caused enough trouble for the Gotai. I'm not letting whatever grudge you have with me bring any more. That's your fault, and you know it. The flaming haired warrior said, glaring at his wielder who sent back his own. You're the one that tried to incite a coup. You're the one that acted rashly to justify your anger. You're the one that's been punished, but I've done nothing to deserve that treatment. I tried to advise you against such stupidity, but you didn't listen. The spots on the blade's chest began to glow as the fires inside began to build. You stopped listening when you got that damn parasite and tried to kill the leader of Gotai. When the war was staring at them in the face, all for your petty vengeance. You're the one that has to pay. Why am I being dragged down with you? I am paying for my sins, Reikia. Shizuki growled, tightening his grip on his blade as he lashed out at his blade, swinging it fiercely while Reika made his katana clash in the hook of his white blade. The two separated before Reika hooked his blade into Omaga's Shihakusho and tore it open, revealing bandages wrapped around his chest and covering his brand. It seems to me like you're hiding, trying to run from your shame, he accused, making Amagai grasp at his bandages. That was the Keto brand, not burn, tattoo, or carving. Those bandages aren't dressings, and aren't dressing any wounds, and it doesn't make them burn any less. Everyone knows what you did, so what does covering up do? Shizuka's hand tightened around the hem of his wrappings, fully aware that what Reiko was telling him was very much the truth. You're ashamed of what you did, and when you suffer emotionally and mentally, I get the backlash. The two glared at each other as Reiko began to glow with heat. You have power, but you're breaking. I know, he said, reaching behind him and pulling out some papers. My sins are forever burned into my chest. He threw up the paper and surrounded himself in a pillar of fire. I know your teleportation, Kido Magai, Reiko roared. You won't trick me, he said before feeling something in his chest. He found a red-hot blade through his chest and turned to find Magai standing in the flames. But until I finally pay for them and fight in the coming war with Aizen, I can't let that brand distract me. He removed his blade just as Reika reverted into his Shikai form and caught his Sanpakuto. Looking at them will only fill my mind with regrets, though now it's time I start undoing them. Bankai, he roared out, triggering his final release. Komamura versus Tenkin. The two giants stood across from each other, and Komamura's hackles rose as he snarled at the red giant of his Sanpakuto, while Tenkin spewed flames from his mouth in something akin to a growl. Tenkin made the first strike, flashing in front of Sajin to deliver a heavy downward strike that the wolf managed to avoid. Following the attack, Tenkin threw his bolas at Komaru and caught his arm in a snare. The two giants began their struggle for dominance, each side pulling at the ropes to pull the other off their balance. Tenkin and Komaru growled, struggling against the strength of his Sanpakuto. Answer me! Why did you betray me? His mind flashed to Tosen as he left the society to join Aizen in his insane mission, and with his anger fueling him, he began to slowly win against his Sanpakuto. Like you betrayed your clan, the red giant spoke in plumes of smoke and fire, a language Sajin had grown familiar with in his time training with the spirit. You act as if you're any better, but Tosen is doing what he believes in, the same as you did when you left the wolf clan. What are you talking about? The wolf snarled at his sword spirit, feeling the ground slowly give away under the struggle. I left because they refused to ever act despite the strength. I'm more confident in my decision now with the knowledge of the Quincy threat coming in. Aizen's war would be a revolution, but the Quincy would bring nothing but destruction. Tosen left because he disagreed with the Soul Society's actions, just as you disagree with your clan. Tenkin returned, reminding his master of his hypocrisy. Tosen didn't even hide while you wore a mask for decades, ashamed of your own kind, afraid of the choice you made. Enough! Sojin barked, making his Sanpakuto stumble with a burst of strength. My comrades have accepted me, and I'll deal with my clan in time on my terms. I am still of the Wolf Clan, but I refuse to be like them. Isolationist, apathetic, that's what I deny. He swung his blade and severed the ropes, making Tenkin stumble back and fall. He looked up to see his master regain his Shikai, raising the spectral blade high. I will deal with them on my own terms. Sajin slammed the blade on his spirit and felt his connection be restored. As for Tosen, I'll have to take Saraki's approach and beat some sense into him, he said with conviction, manifesting a massive pair of bolas to match his spectral blade. Sasakibe versus Gonryumaru. Surprised to see me, Gonryumaru? The first squad lieutenant asked his Sanpakuto, blade at the ready, while Gonryumaru reflected that stance with his spike. Surprised to see you actually involved in something? Yes, the shrine holder responded, the two beginning to circle around each other. It's unlike you to actually take part in anything, the right hand of the captain commander, but no one ever acknowledges you. The two charged at each other and began to clash, partially resembling a fencing duel while maintaining the proper style of their weapons. You want me to be in the limelight more? Sasakibe asked, deflecting a thrust while making a slash of his own. I didn't become a Ijisaki's lieutenant for the fame and glory. I took that position because I wanted to be of use to him, and that use has you delegated to doing his paperwork while he trains his chosen successor. Getting returned, you are the right hand to the head of the Gotai and leader of the Soul Society. Yet you are little more than a secretary, not even considered to take over after him, despite your strength. You've been passed up for a child. The the lightning blade roared out as his pike cackled with electricity, blasting bolts of lightning at his master. I swore to be his right hand, not his successor. Chojiro returned as he used flash step to dodge the lightning strike. I struggled and blended to reach that point, pushed myself to be to my limit, to become his right hand. Now that boy shows up and he grooms him to be his successor. I do envy Ichigo for his strength and recognition, but I am where I wanted to be. Without calling out a command, his katana turned into a rapier and he quickly went on the defensive. The right hand of the captain commander, a post I'd love to serve until the day I die. I was also always annoyed with you for making that your shikai. Genryumaki scowled, charging himself with lightning and flashing around the battlefield. The touch of lightning exchanged for a more gentlemanly weapon. Since when did weapons need sophistication? He blasted lightning bolts at Lieutenant, who managed to barely block and catch them on his blade and redirected them back to the Zanpakuto. How long did it take for you to master that needle of a sword? Genryuma asked as he got behind Sasikabe while his arm was still extended, leaving him vulnerable. Pierce Gonryumaru, he whispered, changing the rapier into a long white pike, matching his Zanpakuto spirit's weapon. The spirit's eyes widened in surprise as Chojiro pulled his arm back and stabbed his spirit with the needle-like spear. Long enough to surprise you when I would use my real shikai. The spirit returned to its master as he reflected on the course his life would take. I may not have gotten the recognition I once wanted, but I've done more than most and achieved my goal. That makes all the difference. He returned his Zanpakuto to his sheath and began to return to Squad 4 to rest his still present injuries. Much like a Jai, I feel I can pass the torch to the next generation with little regret. Later on, concurrently in a place that could be described as here. Oh man, this place is so creepy. Susubachi moaned to herself, restraining her Rietsu to the limit to hide her presence while following Muramasa. They were in a forest of silvery quartz trees that were riddled with hollows. Trapped in an eternal night, she thought the white Zanpakuto would be headed for the odd presence of a soul reaper, but he kept regression away from that to search for strong hollows. What does Sangetsu think Muramasa is hiding from the rest of us? She wondered as Muramasa seemed to slowly fade from existence and cough up blood. No, not now, he said through mouthfuls of blood. She thought he was there to exterminate hollows for whatever reason, given that he was slaying everyone he came across. That all changed when the Basel Lord found him. He moved quickly and desperately, seemingly to paralyze the Menos before grabbing a hold of its head. What she saw next shocked her to the core. He was draining the hollow of its reishi. I think I'm going to be sick, she said, feeling her stomach churning at the sight. Why is he doing this? I hope Sangetsu can explain, and that he'll believe me, she thought as Muramasa finished his business and seemed to have stabilized. I must get back before he grows more suspicious of me, he said, opening a kakanta. Of all the Zanpakuto I've manipulated, he's been the most difficult to control. It took all of Susubashi's will to control her shock and follow Muramasa through the portal. With Sangetsu, you know, there are many people wondering what happened to you, Sangetsu said, finding his quarry in a closed-off area that was once reserved for Squad 12. The scarred warrior let out a scoff of amusement at the claim of the hybrid sword. Sorry, just doing something I haven't done in ever, really? The man said said as a small child rushed from his side. The tiny pink blur latched onto the hybrid and squeezed tightly. Plus, I had a lot to apologize for, even if she did forgive me. Sorry, Sangetsu, but I'm loyal to Kenny and only him. And Nazaraki said, looking up to the hybrid she was older than. I know you'd like my help with the rebellion, but Sangetsu lifted her up to eye level to get her attention. Two things, Nozaraki, he started. One, it's only a matter of time before this farce ends. Suzubachi is getting all the information I need. And two, among the Zanpakuto, you're like my little sister. If you're happy, then I'll be happy. figures that Ichigo Sanpakuto would refuse anyone but Ichigo to command him. Zaraki said, stepping into the moonlight and grabbing his chipped blade. No way anything of him would be that weak, but I have to wonder why you're here. Is the situation for the Gotai that bad? All of the visors Sanpakuto still retain their sense. Most of the Sanpakuto sided with me once I did a hostile takeover, but some of the older captains Sanpakuto are still unaccounted for, and Yamamoto is still missing. Zangetsu answered as Yachiro jumped on Zaraki's back. What I need from you is a good reason to call a retreat from the attack. And so you want me to break most of the Sanpakuto? He asked, curious that Ichigo's own blade would disagree with Ichigo's idea of making the Soul Reapers confront their ideas. Then Zangetsu let out a laugh. More like Ichigo shows up when I'm tired from kicking your ass, he said after catching his breath, prompting Zaraki to glare. Not sure if you're joking or not, but I'm gonna kick your ass for that, he said before swinging his blade so hard the air pressure sent Zangetsu flying back. He flipped and righted himself just as Zaraki made a downward slash that left a crater in the ground along with a long gash from the swing. Zangetsu jumped to the side and began a blitz of quick slashes, covering the Kenpachi in numerous cuts, not deep enough to leave lasting damage, but enough to leave Zaraki bleeding before he realized more of his Reiretsu and started running on adrenaline while his cuts stopped bleeding. You've definitely earned your title of the Kenpachi, Zangetsu said, nearly dodging another strike. But this needs an audience for a bit. He charged the kyber blade with Reishi and slammed the blade against Zaraki. Getsuga, he yelled, getting the smaller blade to finish the cross. Gushiro. He unleashed the torrent of power and sent Zaraki flying back, digging a massive trench through the ground as he stood against the attack. Drink Nozarashi, he yelled out, turning the chipped blade into a massive axe cleaver and cutting the energy blast in two. Don't tell me you were holding back with that, Zangetsu, Zaraki taunted, standing in the middle of the battlefield with multiple Sanpakuto spirits fighting Shinigami. I know you pack a harder hit than that. Indeed, and Kenpachi heard it from above as Zangetsu charged the Zero Blast down on the Berserker. Zaraki ripped off his eye patch and blocked the blast, grunting against the pounding stream of energy. He grabbed the hilt off his cleaver and swung with both hands, cutting through the Zero and slicing Zangetsu across the chest. Yeah, beat him, Kenny, Nozaraki said, cheering from her place on her wielder's shoulder. Sakanade yelled out from his clash with Shinji, keeping up appearance. Yachiro's response was to pull on her eyelid and stick her tongue out. I'd never betray Kenny, no matter what that meanie Muramasa did to me. Flashback. Yachiro charged at the most precious person in her life, her world, with her blade poised to strike. Screaming her heartbreak, she stabbed her blade into her leg and forcefully broke herself free from the control Muramasa had on her. She wrapped her arms around Kenpachi and sobbed her eyes on her sobbed her eyes out on his legs. I'm sorry, Kenny, she cried, clutching as tightly as he could. I could never hate you. Please don't be mad. Zaraki dropped down to her level and pulled her in for a hug of his own, like a father to his child. I could never be mad at you. Flashback. Now, let's take it up a notch, Zaraki growled, eager to test his new strength to Ichigo's blade. Ready, Yachiru? Ready. The girl cheered, disappeared, and being replaced with two monsters. One was a muscled fury beast with sickly yellow eyes and a vicious grin of needle death. Long arms with claws and a sharp meat cleaver in one hand. The other was a massive skeleton with a lanky bone structure and decorated with scars on the bones, wielding a large ornate blade with a split through the center of the skull like an axe blade. Sanpo Kenju, Zaraki said, calling out the name of the attacker. I don't see myself using it too often, but I just needed to play with it. He let out a sinister grin as the skeleton made a slash at Zangetsu. He blocked, but the force of the attacker sent him flying back as if he was blocking an attack from Zaraki himself. He felt the killing intent from behind, and he turned to find the beast of bringing the cleaver down on his shoulder, digging down onto his chest. Ah, damn it! Zangetsu cursed in pain as he reached behind to grab the beast's leg and ripping him off. Grande Zero, he fired he fired the warped blast, engulfing the skeletal figure as well and seemingly destroying them. That was shattered when Zaraki appeared before him, with both beasts following his movements. Oh crap! He thought, mustering up as strong a defense as he could before Zaraki hit him like a baseball. He landed near the outskirts of the Serete and immediately began regenerating. Come on, you can't be this weak! Zaraki taunted, finally catching up and dispelling his two beasts. Prove to me you really are Ichigo Sanpakuto, he said, readying his Bankai. Fine, you want Ichigo's true strength, Zangetsu said, bringing his two swords together. I'll show you what he's capable of. Ban Kai! The two said, covering the area in blinding yellow light and darkness. Sanpakuto Cave. It should be around here, Homaru said as she and her brother led the scout force to the Sanpakuto Cave. They came to a rock face with the remaining Sanpakuto spirits waiting at the mouth of the cave. Seikuken, Homaru cried out, running to her immediate Sanpakuto spirit, who rushed out to meet her master. I've missed you, Seikuken. I've missed you too, Homaru. Homura, the serpent girl agreed. Sode Shiraluki and came out as well. Lady Rukia, good to see you again. The snow woman greeted as Rukia and Soifon headed into the cave. Good to see you too, Sode Shiraku. Rukia returned as the scouting force and the Sanpakuto spirits went deeper into the cave. I was half expecting you to be waiting inside, being unable to walk after taking certain advantages. Rukia hinted, earning an embarrassed blush and giggle from her Sanpakuto as the group entered the main hall. Alright, start searching, Soifon ordered. If the captain commander is down here, we will find him. Before anyone could get moving, Ganju started giving orders. Stop, don't move, he said, looking all over the cave. Slowly come together and let's get out of here. Soifon looked at the Chiba man, furious at his perceived cowardice. Ganju Shiba, she said, storming over to the man. I'm giving you this one chance to explain why we should abandon the mission. Because my Sanpakuto has us surrounded. He immediately answered as all the rocks in the room began to shift into sand spikes. Get us out of here, he yelled as the group converged from Homaru and Shizuku. Some no me Tsukishiro, Rukia and Shiruki called out, controlling the eyes to create a barrier around them. The only person out of this barrier was Ganju. Go, get out of here. Someone has to make sure he doesn't tell the others, he said, pulling out his blade. I'm not going to die. Just go. This is my Sanpakuto. My issues. I'll handle it, he said, prompting Homaru and Shizuku to teleport everyone out of there. So Azushikai, I'm guessing my problem is that I have betrayed my ideals by becoming a soul reaper. The sand shifted into a scowling face, glaring at the thug. I figured, good thing I know how to win, he said with a confident grin. With Ichigo. So Koga Kuchiki, the black stain on the name of the Kuchiki clan, Ichigo said as he marched towards Byakuya and Zenbon in the particularly destroyed remains of the 6th Division. So, am I right in assuming Maramusa is trying to free his master and you only joined so you can redeem the honor of your clan? Zenbon Sakura pulled his master up from the debris as Byakuya sent a cold stare at the hybrid. Indeed, and I ask that you do not hinder me, Ichigo Kurosaki. Byakuya returned as he and his Sanpakuto tried to attack him. It was for the sake of appearance, but they were put enough effort to sneak and to sweat and bleed. Byakuya with swordplay and Kido, while Zenbon Sakura utilized his power, with Ichigo keeping up with both of them. I'll find where the captain commander is, but I need to do this for the honor of my family. I can respect your need to do this, Byakuya, Ichigo said as he caught the captain's sword and blasted the Sanpakuto with a quad bala. Unfortunately, no, I can't simply dismiss this. Byakuya activated his Shikai and jumped away from the hybrid. While I do not hold what Murasa is doing against you or your clan, what I cannot permit is leaving a threat like this alone. Murasa's actions have severely damaged our preparations, and you yourself have caused some damage in the Sanpakuto's attack. Now, your crimes can be judged after this mess is over, but Koga is no longer your concern. He is the Gotai's concern. This is a matter of my clan, the noble demanded. As the current head, he is my responsibility. It stopped being about your clan when Muramasa threw the whole of the Serite into a state of chaos. Ichigo returned him, and being adamant in his stance. Koga is a threat to the whole of the Gotai and the war effort against Aizen and Yuoba. You will not deal with him. We will deal with him. You and I, Ichigo said, surprising Byakuya. Why the two of us? And the Kuchiki asked, curious as to why Ichigo was firm on aligning himself in this cause. You said this concern was the whole of the court card squads, but you say that you and I alone will deal with this. You are handling this as current head of the Kuchiki clan. Ichigo started explaining. A clan I am related to by proxy due to my marriage to your sister. That means I'm helping family, and that would be all the reason I need, but you would want more. It's expected and accepted that I will one day become the head captain of the Gotai, so I would need to show that I can handle and will handle issues as they come. You retain your dignity as the head of the Kushiki, and we do our duty as members of the Gotai. Byakuya took a moment to consider the proposition and whether his pride would allow for it. Also, when Sensei sees what has happened to the Serite, he's going to be pissed. Part of me wants to be far away from when that happens. Understandable, the noble conceded, and while I do acknowledge your strength, this is still my responsibility. And Senbon Sakura returned to his master's side, and both moved their blades in a familiar fashion. Are you willing to do whatever is necessary? Prove it. The two dropped their blades into the ground and created the towering blades. Bankai Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi, the two said as the blades dispersed into a blinding fury of pink flower petal blades, and the two using their power moved their hands, which made the blades move faster. Oh crap! Ichigo said as the blades domed around him. The swirl blades closed in around him, and seeing no other way out, opened a garganta and jumped through it. And apparently behind Byakuya, but facing Senbon Sakura, the Sanpakuto shot turned the blades at the hybrid, which didn't even cut through his defenses before Ichigo punched the spirit in the face. That felt weaker than it should have been. Ichigo thought as he thought about his own power. It's keeping our Sanpakuto physically manifested, weakening us. Might be why it's only possible to manifest when one is close to Bankai. He thought before feeling a noticeable drain on his Ryoku. Zangetsu, he thought in concern, a distraction Byakuya took advantage of by trapping him in a maelstrom of blades. Focus, Ichigo Kurosaki, Byakuya said as Senbon Sakura returning to his master and manifesting to impel Ichigo through the heart. Are you truly dedicated, or was that simply talk? He said as the Sanpakuto ripped the blade out of the hybrid's chest. Ichigo felt his life leave him before his healing fixed the damaged heart as he turned his gaze to the noble. It was then he opened his connection to Zangetsu and heard his blade call out something he never did. Bankai. In the distance, there was a towering explosion of pale yellow and a pure blackness that matched it. Ichigo then felt power coursing through him, vast and terrible, something that seemed like it was not meant to exist, and all too familiar. Only one thing remained: desire to destroy and consume. The two tried to attack him again, but the trillions of blades didn't even scratch him as he appeared beside the two and punched them both, sending them flying back towards the battlefield. The rest of the fighting stopped as Byakuya and Senbon Sakura lay gasping and coughing up blood before everyone felt the crushing pressure of Ichigo and felt every trace of ambient reishi going to him. The sense ended as soon as it began, as he seemed to snap out of it, and Kenpachi fell from the sky, beaten and unconscious. Everyone looked up to see Zangetsu missing an arm, a leg, a chunk of his torso from the side, and his mask was crumbling. Sanpakuto, retreat! The blade ordered before firing zeros down on the battlefield. Sorry about that, Ichigo, but Zaraki was powerful. It'll take a little bit for me to recover, but I should have all we need soon enough, he said before escaping with the rest of the Sanpakuto, leaving Ichigo to fall unconscious from the strain of keeping Zangetsu manifested. Illustrated Guide to Soul Reapers. The experiment. Okay, these hollow pills should be enough to achieve the results we need, Urahara said, gathering up the small tablets. Now, where are the Sanpakuto we recently captured? I think you left them alone with Lieutenant Mayuri, Akan said, making his case sweat slightly before rushing over to one of the testing labs. He found Getsuburi devoid of all color, Omiyade crying in the fetal position in the corner. with Mayuri looking bored, and who he assumed was Ashi Shoji Jizo flying at him like he was running from his wieldom. Well, he's dead, Mayuri said, completely apathetic about what he did. So you wasted a test subject, Urahara asked sarcastically. Fix it now, Mayuri, he ordered, holding out a hollow tablet. Without hesitation, the deranged scientist tapped it, and the reishi was absorbed into him. A high-pitched squeaking caught their attention as they watched the golden butterfly boy become more fierce, and Mayuri got a hole in his forehead. Well, connection reestablished. It's a go, Mayuri answered him. Great, let's go, Urahara said as Mayuri and his Sanpakuto reverted, cleaning the last remains of hollow reishi from within. The useful power began to leave him. What about my Sanpakuto? Omeade cried out, only to be punched out by Mayuri's extendo arm. Shut up! Why, you waste of skin? The capture, Ban. Shoji Jizo was about to say before Mayuri held up a detonator. The old figure froze, knowing what it was. Now, help me capture that Sanpakuto over there, he ordered, pointing to Amada and Getsuburi. The Jizo sounded like it was crying before flying over to the fat blade and paralyzing it. Don't need personal revelations. I don't care. The limp. So they know Shirayuki. Are you okay? Rukia asked as the Sanpakuto led them deeper into the cave. Noticing that hers had a slight limp, the snow woman smiled serenely to her master. Lady Rukia, just be careful with Sir Ichigo, she warned. Never try to dominate an alpha. It was worth it, but it's really hard to walk right now. End of chapter 63.